Folks, Blackbull Markets have 10 merch packs to give away to clients who sign up before the end of the year, including one of these trader keys. So to go in the draw, all you need to do is sign up with the link below this video or in the podcast description, and you'll go in the draw to win. It's that simple. And remember, folks, when you sign up to Blackbull Markets through the Trading Nut link below, you're going to get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000 on your first deposit. All you need to do is click the link in the description below the video or the podcast.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Brinks Trades here, and we are coming to you live with the last trading breakdown of the year. Technically, the last one of the year, but also we'll talk, analysis for next year since 2024 is next week. So let's go ahead and look at dollar index. Keep this short and sweet for you guys, since I know that a lot of people are going to be on the holidays. So this will be probably the quickest breakdown that I'll do for this platform. So again. So coming into last week, we know holiday volatility is a real thing, right? So that week between Christmas and New Year's, a lot of traders are not trading, both at an institutional level and a fund level. So we know there's not going to be a lot of volatility. So coming into the week, we wanted to see here is, I wanted to see a bigger retrace than what we got on dollar index. And so what we ended up getting is we ended up respecting not only this fair value gap, but the consequent encroachment of that gap as well. So I wanted to see price, potentially trade back into this imbalance around this order block, and then really give us a reason to continue to go down. We didn't end up getting that. It looks like we just kind of, bullish momentum was straight, kind of carried us straight through. And so what I was looking for to see if we closed, if we respected this imbalance, which we are, but then also expected the consequent encroachment of this. So again, this is probably still like the most obvious target for me to run back to on dollar index. But if we go down to the daily time frame just really quickly. And again, I do all of my analysis live, so you guys will see this in real time. What I want to see is how price respects this daily order block right here. And so again, there is this huge gap in this area, and that's kind of one of the reasons that I called it out. So in addition to this weekly fair value gap, there's an imbalance here, or a volume imbalance. Actually, just a liquidity void, no liquidity at all in that range. And so I wanted to see price potentially go back to respect that area, test that area. Again, I will be looking to see how price respects this area first. But ultimately, I think we probably will come back there. So those are the two areas that I'll be looking for. And then I'll just kind of make a note right here. And so again, that level is at 101.83. And then the secondary level, this fair value gap, that starts at 102.19. So again, I'm still bearish on dollar index. There's really no reason as to why we should be bullish. I'm really looking long term for price to hit this level here at 99.20. That's kind of like the long term level that I think price will hit. So I want to see again how price continues to respect this fair value gap, that daily imbalance and that daily fair value gap that I just called out at this level at 101.81, and really looking at that area as well as this weekly fair value gap as an area where price could turn around. Obviously we're going into a new week. I'd say like the first probably week or two of the New Year is probably going to be slow, just because again, think about normal jobs, normal institutions. People are just now getting back into the swing of things. Some people might still be on vacation. Traders, hedge funds, big institutions are the same way, right? So there might not be a ton of volatility the first week out, but you'll start to see that volatility come back. So I'm not going to predict a lot of movement this first week, and I could be wrong, but I'm not going to predict a crazy ton of volatility coming into this first week, but we'll see. But again, those two levels are what I'm looking for. So again, if I'm bearish on dollar index, that's the reason I do this analysis on dollar index. If you're new here, is because, even though I'm breaking down indices, the dollar is king still. So, having an understanding where dollar is going to go is going to help us with all of our indexes as well. So if I go to NASDAQ real quickly, so I was doing a one-on-one last night with one of my students in my mentorship, and he asked me, kind of like, I asked him to break down NASDAQ for me and kind of see, like, kind of get a bias on where we think it's going to go. And so he had one of the things he mentioned is that, like, we don't have really have any previous targets to aim for. So how do we kind of, determine a bias or determine where we think price should go, since we're trading kind of at all-time highs on NASDAQ? And so again, one of the things that I called out to him was that, the only area that we can really look for to target previously is going to be last week's high when we're trading in these all-time high situations. So again, that's kind of why I have this line here, just kind of denoting that. But again, so we are bullish. And one of the things that I teach all my students is that, when we are trading at all-time highs, or when we're trading in an uptrend, you don't want to try and catch the top or the bottom of a trend. More times often than not, you will get burned. And so we're clearly in an uptrend in this particular state. And so the only thing that I'm going to be able to aim for this upcoming week on NASDAQ is going to be really trading back to the high of last week. So denoting here, this is kind of our target first week. Let me go to the comment section really quickly. So I'm going to be looking for the target to go to the high of last week. So I'd want to see price, if we break this down to a daily time frame. There's a couple of things that price is doing right now that I think is really interesting. If we zoom in really close, we can see that, again, order block are sitting right here. So just to note that price is respecting that level. And then on top of that, we are getting an imbalance right here. Very small imbalance, but price failed to respect that. So just kind of watching and denoting how that plays out. If we do respect this order block, this might get used as an inverted fair value gap. We can get away from this. And so what I'd like to see is, starting out next week, I'd really like to see price come out and attack one of these levels to go lower. And so the levels that I'll be looking at is this low of last week at 16,764. The low of last week as well. I'm sorry, the low of last Friday, to get attacked as well. And then, if we do get a deeper decline, I called this out when we were working with him yesterday, but a lot of this imbalance here and this entire range is just ripe for liquidity. So I'm just going to be looking at this zone. There's a few reasons. There's an imbalance, volume imbalance in this zone. There is an actual a gap here, as well as a series of fair value gaps. So I note this whole entire zone as an area that I think price could retest. But again, I'll be looking at one of these levels. Ideally, I'd like to see price trade into this, but we all know that, we don't always get the ideal situation. So again, I'll be looking at one of these three levels. And most likely, when you do analysis on the weekends, you don't have live market running. So you kind of have to pick out a few levels, but most likely price is only going to run to one of these levels during our actual time zones and time trading sessions, which is, for me, is the New York session. So I'll be looking for that to play out over the next, the next week or so. And then, so the one thing that I didn't make the call to him, and then I'll make the call out here as well, is that since we are trading at all-time highs, we are overdue for a correction. And so if we look at this daily time frame, if we do get a clean break of structure, taking out this low, like a very clean break of structure with displacement and just price just running down, then, that I might change my bias to go a little bit shorter, depending on how price reacts in this zone. And this range is 16,629 and 16 to 15,881. So it's a pretty big range, but there's a lot of liquidity in here that I think price could potentially retest. So that's what I'll be looking for on NASDAQ. Again, the levels that I'm looking out for are, I want to see how price reacts to this potential inverted fair value gap at 17,053. I'll be looking at the low at 16,760 as a potential low. This also low of Friday's low, which is 16,942. And then lastly, the consequent encroachment of this wick right here. So there's like 3 or 4 different levels that I'm looking at. And again, the reason that I'm doing this and I have so many levels noted on the chart for this week is because we are pretty much trading in a very tight range. And so there's a lot of, whenever you're dealing in a tight range and you're dealing with, times of the year which there's not a lot of liquidity, you're going to get such scenarios like this where there's a potential lot of I call them liquidity markers that price might trade to. So just because, it's more because of the lack of volatility, I have so many noted on the chart. So I really ideally want to see one of these things respected going into next week, and then looking to ultimately continue up the bullishness on the trend. Whether it be here in this range or this range, but ultimately I want to see price trade to at least one of these levels. I'm just going to go here for short and then take it back to the high. My target for next week is the high of last week. And once I hit that level, and once we hit that level, I probably will be flat. There's nothing else for me to really chase. Going to, wow, this is a lot. Sorry. Going to ES&P. Again, we're pretty much in the same scenario as, let me just clean this up, as the S&P. Well, actually, let me go to US500, make it a little cleaner. Yeah, so the target that we're running for is actually a little bit different. So we are bullish just like we are on S&P. The difference is that we have not taken out the all-time high on US500, which is the S&P. So ideally, I want to see price give us a retest of a level last week and then look to take out this high. This has not really changed from the past couple of weeks. We just didn't get a lot of volatility on this. So let me go to the comment section really quickly. So nothing crazy. Okay, cool. So again, I want to see price take out this level. This is the target that we have still from last week. So if I zoom in on the last week's price action, a couple levels here that I want to see potentially respected. Again, very similar to US30, we have this order block. I'm sorry, US30, NAS100, we have this order block here. And so I'll just note that there. We also have this volume imbalance here that we previously traded into. I wouldn't be surprised if we retested this level. So I'll make a note here. And then if I go down one more time frame to the 4-hour, there's not really a ton here that I can see. So I'll just keep it on a higher time frame. So again, I'd like to see price respect this. And when we get that opportunity to trade, which most likely will come Monday, Tuesday, I guess in this case, the holiday it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday. I'd like to see price go back to this high and take out this high, whether it be at this level or as low as this level here at 4,692. So these are the two levels that I'll be looking at to see how price reacts to them. And then take things to the high of last week at 4,795. Again, ICT says, I'm just going to the comment section really quickly. ICT concepts. I use a combination of smart money concepts and some previous retail concepts. Brian asked about that. Brian Sanders, um, Kilo, who I think is also Brian, another Brian, said Happy New Year. Karan, we teach you price action strategy. So if you are interested in price and learning kind of how I see the charts, I have a mentorship that I'll open up next year, and it'll be more open for people to learn from me directly. But for now, you can check out my free Telegram. And so in this, I do a lot of breakdowns. And so I just dropped the link right there again. Feel free to join that. I do all my chart analysis in there. And basically, I also trade Forex as well. So I do the indices here live on Trading Nut. And then, occasionally I will do the Forex breakdowns as well. So for the people that do strictly trade Forex. So I'm originally a Forex trader. I came up in Forex and then, recently switched to indices in this past year and year and a half. And so I think the volatility is better. So that's kind of where I stay. So again, but check out the link if you guys are interested. Again, that is a free Telegram chat, just for general analysis. Okay, so again, so I want to see price on US500 trade to the high of last week at 57.95. And so then US30, very similarly, I think, to the NASDAQ. I don't think we've hit all-time. Yeah, we've hit all-time highs on NASDAQ. I'm sorry, on Dow Jones. And so that's currently where we're sitting. So very much like NASDAQ, we can only really trade to the high of last week. That's like the highest projection that we can really make at this point in the game. There are some other ways to project like what the ultimate high will be before we get a retrace. But, again, let's say that for my mentorship. So seeing the volume here. So there's a couple levels that we want to chart out. First one's going to be this fair value gap here that begins at 37,000 and runs all the way to 36,279, right? And so if we go down to the daily time frame, obviously that area is noted, but very similarly to US30 and to US500 and US100, which is NASDAQ, we have this order block here, right? So again, we want to see price respect this level, which it has. And then we also have a couple of levels here. We have, this volume imbalance that occurs at 37,369 and runs to 37,437. So I'm just going to make this black. I'm going to call this volume imbalance. And then inside, center this. And then someone showed me how to do this yesterday. It's really cool. You can save like whatever your shapes are, you can save them and then use them at a later date. So I'm just going to save this as volume imbalance. Okay, so it's the volume imbalance here. And essentially all volume imbalance is when you have a gap and then you have wicks straight through it. So we want to see it potentially at some point in time, a body candle close in here. It might not be this week, but this is just another level that I'm looking at. So this respecting of this order block, this volume imbalance, and then ultimately this weekly fair value gap, which we could be heading to. There's also that weekly volume imbalance as well. So I'm looking at a couple levels where I think price might turn around. Again, that volume imbalance is at 37,392. We have this low here, which is the beginning of this fair value gap at 37,000. And then just want to see how price respects this order block at 37,537. So ultimately, if you're trading if you're trading Dow Jones, then you want to see price potentially pull back to one of these levels. Could be this level. And then take out this high, right? So that, again, our target for this week is going to be this previous high. And since we are trading at all-time highs, we really can't do anything past that. So let me go to the comment section really quickly. Appreciate it. You know, shout out to Brian. Yeah, so I definitely go all in for the people that I mentor. I have a passion for this. You know, I just love the markets, and so I love, you know, explaining these concepts to people. And really, you know, I'm a nerd when it comes to this. So yeah, so okay, so anyway, so if we go back to this, so again, we're bullish on everything. Dollar index, we want to see price continue to go run to the downside. Again, those pullback levels that we called out. NASDAQ, we want to see price potentially hit to the upside. Again, we have all of these levels that we're calling out because we've been trading in such a very tight range because of the holiday volatility. Most likely when price action starts to back up next week, it'll only run to one or two of these levels. If we get a sustained run, I will be noting again on all of these pairs on NASDAQ, Dow Jones, and US500. If we get a huge displacement from this level and we take out these lows, then I will be looking to see if we get a break of structure to go the other way. That's something that I'll be noting. So really, it just kind of depends on how price respects all three of these of these fair value gaps that we can see on the weekly time frame. And here on and then obviously on NASDAQ, this one as well. And the US30 again, volume imbalance, or I'm sorry, fair value gap. So really want to see how price respects these levels. We are trading at all-time highs, so I'm keeping in the back of my head that I'm wary that we might transition into a downtrend. So we'll have a lot more confirmation on that this week, but really just looking for the long-term trend and really trying to run with that. So again, hopefully this was helpful. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to join the Telegram and hit me in the chat. And hope everybody has a great new year. Stay safe, all that good stuff. And we'll catch you guys back in 2024. Thanks.